Picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, on a random Tuesday night. You're just mindlessly swiping, and suddenly a video auto plays that just makes you freeze.
We've all had those moments.
Right. But the guy on the screen, he is completely disheveled. Like he is visibly panicking, breathing really heavily, wearing this torn, messy shirt.
Just a completely chaotic energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he is holding up a handwritten piece of cardboard to the camera just to prove that he isn't an AI-generated deepfake.
Which, in today's digital landscape, he actually has to do. Because physically, he looks entirely unrecognizable from the person the public used to know.
Yeah, that's so true.
The baseline reality of the internet is so distorted right now that, a handwritten sign is basically the only way to say, I am a real human being.
Exactly. And once he establishes that he is, in fact, real, he leans right into the lens and frantically claims that there is a non-human entity, like an alien with glowing eyes living in his garage. And he starts talking about how powerful shadowy forces are trying to hack his accounts, to silence him from exposing the truth.
And under normal circumstances, this is the exact kind of bizarre late night internet rabbit hole that you just swipe right past.
Right, like you don't even give it a second thought.
Yeah, it feels like a glitch in the algorithm, just some random person having a breakdown for views.
But you don't swipe past this one. You watch the whole thing because the guy in the torn shirt screaming about glowing eyes in his garage, it's James Franco.
Yeah.
The former A-list, Oscar-nominated, Golden Globe-winning Hollywood superstar.
A man who, honestly, not that long ago, was arguably one of the most famous and critically acclaimed faces on the entire planet.
Yeah.
And now he's just this grainy video popping up on your feed.
So today, that is our mission for this deep dive. We are unpacking the spectacular rise, the really catastrophic fall, and the incredibly strange, highly publicized 2026 reemergence of James Franco.
It's quite the timeline.
It really is. And to do this, we've compiled a massive stack of materials for you. Now, we are looking exclusively at the data here.
Just the facts.
Right. We've got Hollywood historical records, really detailed legal settlement documents, and a chronological archive of this recent, highly erratic social media data. We are just presenting the facts as they are, looking at the structural shifts in culture to figure out how we got from the red carpet to, well, a garage in the suburbs.
It's a huge shift.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to truly grasp the absolute madness of June and July 2026, we have to establish just how high this star originally flew, and more importantly, how his specific brand was constructed.
That's really the crucial starting point. If you want to understand the collapse, you have to understand the architecture of his fame, right?
Absolutely.
James Franco wasn't just a movie star. He was like an entire industry unto himself. His brand was meticulously built on being this ultimate, multi-talented Hollywood intellectual.
Let's trace the roots of that, because he was born in 1978 in Palo Alto, California.
Right in the heart of Silicon Valley.
Exactly. And he comes from a very cultured, highly educated family. His father is of Portuguese descent. His mother is a Jewish writer. So right from day one, there is this deep undercurrent of academic and artistic expectation.
He had a foundation.
Yeah, he wasn't just raised to be famous, he was raised to be important.
Which really started to manifest publicly in 1999. That is when he gets his major breakthrough in that cult classic television show, Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, such a good show.
Right. Now, the show itself only ran for one season, but historically, it is a massive foundational pillar for modern comedy. Because that set is where he met the director Judd Apatow and a very young actor named Seth Rogen.
And that meeting, that kicks off a legendary 20-year creative partnership and friendship with Rogen.
A huge deal for his career.
But Franco didn't just stay in that comedy lane, which is where, most young actors would have comfortably plateaued. By 2001, he wins a Golden Globe for playing the cultural icon James Dean in a television movie. And that role proves he has serious dramatic chops. He isn't just a funny kid. He's a serious artist.
And then comes the global explosion. He takes on the role of Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man trilogy alongside Tobey Maguire.
Those movies were massive.
Huge. Suddenly, he isn't just an acclaimed actor in the industry. He has this immense global reach. Like, he's a recognizable face in basically every country on Earth.
Yeah, he had that trademark, charismatic, slightly quirky smile that just became his absolute signature.
But what made him so unique, and honestly what insulated him for so long, was his duality.
Yeah, I look at his career back then, and it wasn't really a standard acting trajectory. It was more like a diversified cultural stock portfolio.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Right. He spread his cultural capital across completely different sectors.
Yeah, if one sector failed, the others just propped up his reputation. On one hand, he's anchoring these massive, chaotic, incredibly lucrative stoner comedies with Seth Rogen, movies like Pineapple Express and This Is the End.
Total box office hits.
Exactly. He's capturing that mainstream young male demographic.
But then on the other hand, he's delivering these heavyweight, Oscar-nominated dramatic performances. I mean, look at 127 Hours in 2010.
Oh, that movie is intense.
So intense. He plays a real-life mountain climber whose arm gets trapped under a boulder in Utah. And he has to literally amputate his own arm to survive.
Just visceral.
And he carries that entire film by himself, completely alone on screen. That performance was staggering. It really cemented him as a rare generational talent.
And he leveraged that critical acclaim to expand his portfolio even further. You know, he wasn't just acting.
Right.
He was directing avant-garde indie films. He was writing and publishing poetry. He was famously collecting advanced degrees from Ivy League universities. He was going to Columbia, NYU, Yale.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
I know, right? He was even teaching university classes. He was just so desperate to be seen as a true Renaissance man.
And crucially for our timeline, he opens his very own acting school in Los Angeles and New York, which he called Studio 4.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that exact acting school, Studio 4, the very place that was supposed to solidify his legacy as a generous intellectual and a mentor to the next generation, that school would eventually become the absolute epicenter of his destruction.
Which brings us to a massive, glaring red flag. Because before the total collapse, there was a warning tremor.
A pretty big one.
Yeah. And what is so wild, looking back at the historical records now, is that society just completely glossed over it.
It's hard to believe now.
It really highlights the mechanics of how different celebrity accountability was just a decade ago.
So we're looking at the year 2014. Franco is 35 years old. He is at the absolute height of his power, starring in a really prestigious production of Mice and Men on Broadway.
Okay, so outside the theater one night, he meets a fan, a 17-year-old Scottish tourist named Lucy Claude. And he asks her to tag him in a video on Instagram so he can find her account.
And he immediately direct messages her. Like, we have the transcripts of those messages. He explicitly asks her age, and she answers honestly. She tells him she is close to 18, but she explicitly states she is not yet 18. She is legally a minor.
Wait, I have to stop you there. He knows she is legally a minor, he has it in writing from her, and he still tries to arrange a meetup with her at a hotel.
Yes.
In what world does an A-list star's PR team allow him to survive that? Especially because she didn't just keep it a secret?
No, she didn't.
She didn't even believe it was really him. So she asked for proof. He sent a selfie with his hand on his face, and she immediately posted the entire conversation and the photo online. The internet exploded.
No, it became one of the most infamous celebrity scandal photos of that entire era.
I can imagine.
But to answer your question about how he survived it, you really have to understand the media ecosystem of 2014.
Right.
It was treated as tabloid fodder, not a systemic abuse of power.
Right.
And his PR strategy was incredibly specific. He weaponized self-deprecation.
Right. He goes on this massive apology tour. Like,
Yeah.
He goes on national television. He goes on the Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
And he doesn't deny it, which is, usually the standard playbook. He leans into it.
Exactly. He essentially argues that he just didn't use good judgment. But he frames it almost as a casualty of his fame.
How so?
Well, on Stern, he says, quote, he doesn't go to high schools looking for dates. He claims that his fans come to him and that his primary demographic is women aged 17 to 30.
Wow.
Yeah, he diffuses the tension by making himself the butt of the joke, treating it like a clumsy, embarrassing mistake rather than predatory behavior.
And astonishingly, it worked. I mean, can you imagine a major star surviving that exact sequence of events today?
Absolutely not. The backlash would be instant and permanent.
The culture of 2014 acted like this protective force field for him. Because he had that diversified portfolio, because he was the quirky intellectual who wrote poetry and made stoner comedies, the public afforded him this massive runway of eccentric leeway.
They really did.
The controversy blew over in a matter of weeks and his career thrived.
Yeah. But that force field was built on a very specific cultural tolerance, a tolerance that, completely unbeknownst to him, was about to evaporate completely.
The force field breaks. We're moving into 2017 and 2018.
Yeah.
The very public intellectual persona that Franco had so carefully cultivated is about to clash violently with a massive, shifting cultural landscape in Hollywood.
In late 2017, Franco directs and stars in The Disaster Artist. It is a massive critical and commercial hit. He wins a Golden Globe for Best Actor. I mean, he is back on top of the world.
But the catalyst for his downfall happens at that exact award ceremony.
Right.
The 2018 Golden Globes took place during the absolute peak of the Me Too movement. The industry is finally reckoning with decades of silenced abuse. Attendees wear black in solidarity. And Franco shows up wearing a Time's Up solidarity pin right on his lapel.
And it was that specific visual, him wearing that pin, claiming public solidarity with victims of industry abuse. That triggered the backlash.
Yeah, that's what did it.
It was seen as such immense hypocrisy that the dam just broke. Almost immediately, while the broadcast is literally still airing on television, actresses take to Twitter. They begin calling out his behavior in real time.
Just a cascade of call-outs.
Exactly. And within days, 5 different women come forward publicly with allegations of sexual exploitation and highly inappropriate behavior.
But the most severe allegations, the ones that actually bring down the empire, they come from inside his own house.
Yeah.
In 2019, former students of his acting school, Studio 4, file a major, formalized lawsuit against him. We've reviewed the legal documents. They don't just allege bad behavior, they allege a system.
And that is the key distinction. The lawsuit alleges that Franco used his immense power and his status as a teacher to create what they called a pipeline of young women for sexual exploitation.
I really want to understand the mechanism here.
Mm.
How do you go from prestigious acting school to exploitation pipeline in a legal sense? Like, how did it actually operate?
Well, according to the filings, it operated under the guise of high-level artistic education. The plaintiffs alleged that there were master classes that required students to film highly explicit, bold, or edgy scenes. The implication was that if you wanted to succeed in Hollywood, you had to shed your boundaries and perform these acts on camera, often with Franco himself or under his direct supervision.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they weaponized the concept of artistic dedication to bypass normal professional boundaries.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the consequences this time are immediate and total. The 2014 force field is just gone.
Completely gone.
And this highlights a really fascinating reality about Hollywood. Hollywood, as an institution, doesn't actually operate on a moral compass. It operates on a strict financial compass.
Oh, 100%.
The exact moment the public audience turned their backs on Franco, the moment those allegations made him a toxic brand, the studios locked the gates. He went from being a bankable asset to a financial liability overnight.
Exactly. The studios didn't care about the poetry or the advanced degrees anymore.
Yep.
The legal battle drags on for a few years. And in 2021, Franco agrees to pay a $2.2 million settlement to the plaintiffs. Now, maintaining our strict impartiality here, it is imperative to note the legal reality.
Right.
According to the documents, he pays the settlement without admitting any legal guilt.
Right. And later, he does a rare, highly controlled interview. In that interview, he does admit that he slept with students while he was teaching. He claims those relationships were entirely consensual, but he strictly and emphatically denies the allegations of forced exploitation or creating any kind of systematic pipeline.
But, regardless of his legal defense or his public denials, the court of public opinion had already ruled.
Definitely.
His cultural stock portfolio had completely crashed. And perhaps the most devastating blow wasn't the lawsuit or the studios or the media. It was his inner circle.
Seth Rogen.
Yes. Seth Rogen, his primary collaborator and closest friend of 20 years, publicly announces that he is severing ties. He ends their creative partnership and their friendship forever, stating publicly that he will not work with Franco again.
He loses his career, his legacy, and his best friend all at once.
Just total collapse.
So he goes into exile. For years, he completely disappears from mainstream American media. Yeah. He's relegated to doing these tiny, obscure European indie films that barely make a blip on the radar. For all intents and purposes, he is entirely forgotten by the public.
Which brings us to the data that sparked this entire deep dive.
Right, the 2026 data.
This is where we have to look at the psychology of attention. What actually happens to a human brain, a man whose entire identity, self-worth, and daily reality has been fueled by intense global adoration for 2 decades, when they are starved of that attention for almost 10 years.
Fast forward to June 2026. James Franco is now 48 years old. And on June 3rd, out of nowhere, a brand new TikTok account appears.
And the timeline of this account is deeply, deeply unsettling. As we established in that first video, he looks unkempt, his eyes are darting around, his shirt is literally torn.
Yeah.
He holds up the handwritten sign, and then he drops the bombshell. He claims there is a non-human entity in his garage. He tells the camera he heard a noise in the night, went out to investigate, and saw a tall creature with glowing eyes and bizarrely long hands reaching out of the darkness.
He tells the camera he had to run away in pure terror. He claims he's being watched by the government or shadowy organizations.
It's classic paranoia.
Right. Then on June 15th, he posts another video. The panic has escalated. This time, he announces he has actual video proof of the alien. He sets a very specific, highly anticipated release date for this footage, July 13th.
And you can see the algorithm responding, right? The internet starts paying attention again. But before we get to July 13th, the videos take an even darker turn.
Oh yeah, the hack video.
On June 25th, he posts a frantic, incredibly paranoid update claiming that his account was hacked by powerful forces trying to silence him. He stares into the camera and begs the audience to believe that he isn't crazy. He says, "They don't want me to show you what I have, but I'm going to show you."
And it works. These specific videos go insanely viral. We're looking at the metrics, and it's over 11 million views.
Unbelievable numbers.
The entire internet is holding its breath. Is this real? Is this an elaborate indie movie marketing stunt? Has he completely lost his mind? Finally, the climax arrives. July 13th, 2026. The video drops at exactly 7:13 p.m.
And what the audience gets is, well, anticlimactic, to put it mildly.
That's a generous way to put it.
It's grainy, heavily stylized, black and white footage made to look like a cheap security camera. You see this tall, bizarre, very clearly non-human figure moving through the bushes outside his home, peering through a window, and then awkwardly leaving the frame.
And the public reaction. It is brutal. Instead of shock or awe or even genuine concern, the internet just ruthlessly mocks him.
Oh, they tore him apart.
The comment section is a bloodbath of irony. People are laughing at how fake the alien costume looks. They're leaving comments like, "Did we really wait a month for a guy in a rubber suit?" And what straight-to-streaming indie movie is this a trailer for? The tension that built up for over a month deflates instantly into pure, concentrated ridicule.
It's fascinating.
So we have the historical data. We have the tragic, systemic fall from grace. And now we have these bizarre, highly viewed alien videos from 2026. How do we synthesize this madness? What are we actually looking at?
Well, looking at the digital forensics and the public discourse surrounding this, there are three main sociological theories trying to explain what we just witnessed in the summer of 2026.
Okay, let's walk through.
Theory one is the most common consensus among media critics. It's an elaborate viral marketing campaign.
Okay.
And there is strong empirical evidence for this. Look at the meticulous planning, releasing the video on July 13th at exactly 7:13 p.m., the stylized nature of the security footage, the end screen messages hinting at more videos to come. It feels perfectly engineered.
It does feel very structured.
Right. It is textbook modern movie marketing in the digital age, trying to build an alternate reality game for a new sci-fi project.
I hear that, but I have to push back heavily on that theory. If it's just a marketing campaign for a new movie, why do it under his real name?
That's a fair point.
Usually, actors play a distinct character in a viral stunt. Joaquin Phoenix did it with I'm Still Here, but he was commenting on celebrity itself. Why would Franco use his actual real-life, highly damaged and disgraced persona to sell a fake alien?
It is a massive risk.
Blurring the line between his real-life exile and a promotional stunt crosses a really weird, uncomfortable line for me.
Which leads us directly to theory two, a desperate grab for relevance.
Now, this one makes a lot of sense to me. Think about the mechanics of the internet today. After years of being a total pariah, relegated to tiny European film festivals that nobody watches, maybe he realized that the modern internet runs on two distinct currencies: controversy and conspiracy theories.
Sadly true.
The audience didn't care about his serious indie dramas anymore, but they absolutely clicked on a frantic, disheveled man talking about glowing eyes in the dark. He traded whatever dignity he had left for 11 million views. He figured out how to hack the algorithm of attention.
It's entirely possible, but theory three is the one that really gives you pause. And it requires us to look at the psychological data.
Okay.
What if this isn't marketing and it isn't algorithmic manipulation? What if it's a genuine mental health crisis?
Right, because the physical degradation we saw wasn't just acting. I mean, he looked genuinely unwell.
Exactly. This raises an important question about how we consume media. In psychology, there is a concept called narcissistic supply collapse.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, when a human brain wires itself for over 20 years to receive constant, intense external validation, like millions of people telling you that you are brilliant, handsome, and important every single day, that validation becomes a psychological necessity. When that tap is suddenly and violently shut off, the withdrawal is severe. The brain doesn't know how to regulate reality without an audience.
And the social media archive data backs this up. We have reports that several of his few remaining friends actually showed up at his house during this period.
Yeah, I saw that in the reports.
They were physically visiting him to check on his well-being because they were so alarmed by the posts. If this isn't marketing, are we, the public, watching a man in a legitimate, terrifying psychological spiral and treating it like it's just the latest series on Netflix?
That is the ultimate tension of this entire saga. We are looking at two completely different eras of one man's life, bridged by a massive cultural reckoning.
Yeah.
He went from being a Golden Globe-winning, Oscar-nominated intellectual, a guy who directed films and taught college courses, who believed he was untouchable, to a man standing in a torn shirt, screaming about aliens on TikTok just to get a fraction of the attention he used to command effortlessly.
That's the question I want to ask you, the listener. When you are scrolling through your phone late at night and you watch a video like that pop up on your feed, what do you think you're actually watching?
Yeah.
Are you watching a genius avant-garde marketer playing a character? Are you watching a desperate, disgraced former star begging for you to just look at him again? Or are you watching a tragedy unfolding in real time while millions of people leave laughing emojis in the comments?
The data doesn't give us a definitive answer, but the trajectory is undeniable. It's a stark portrait of what happens when the architecture of fame collapses.
It really leaves you with a haunting realization about the nature of modern fame. In the digital age, being exiled from traditional media doesn't mean you just disappear into a quiet, peaceful life. It just means you have to find darker, stranger, more extreme ways to make people look at you. If an actor's entire identity, their entire grip on reality, relies on an audience clapping for them, what happens to that reality when the audience simply walks away? Do you eventually start seeing monsters in the garage just to have a story left to tell?